Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Green here with NoMoreNews.org. Today is Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. Thank you for joining me. Make sure, if you haven't already, to go and bookmark NoMoreNews.org. Follow, as well as follow on No More News 2 on YouTube, BitChute, and DLive, and brand new Tube, because the algorithm suppression is not letting the truth get out. There is a ton of news going on. We got 9/11, the 19th anniversary of 9/11 is in 2 days. Not sure what I have. Gotta get something planned for that. I've got a couple ideas in mind, something special for the anniversary. Never forget 9/11 and who was behind it and who benefited from it. But there's a ton of news to get through today. That Ziopocalypse is unfolding. This is what it looks like in San Francisco right now, the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm in California, and it's definitely been some crazy haziness. It's like you're living on Mars. The sun is like really bright and orange. You can look at it because it's so much ash in the air from all the fires going on. Wildfires rage across the entire west coast of the U.S. It's been pretty apocalyptic, but everything in the news that I have is just that it's the Zionist apocalypse, that these end times Zionist fanatics are trying to play out. Breaking news. This is today, we have top trending over this one, Bernstein. Breaking news, President Trump admitted to journalist Bob Woodward, Kushner put him up to doing the interviews also, that Kushner's trending also too, story about him. Trump knowingly played down the coronavirus, even though he was aware it was, quote, deadly. So this is already the angle that they've been going at Trump, is to say that he dropped the ball on coronavirus to try to get him out of office. This is what Biden's saying in a lot of his campaign rhetoric, is that Trump, let people die and he's going to do better. And Trump's promising Operation Warp Speed and rushing out the vaccine, some new vaccine news as well. So it's who can be quicker with the medical mandates. But we're going to play the clip. This is Trump answering. We're going to play the clip first, though. Here it is.
This is more deadly. This is 5 per, this is 5% versus 1% and less than 1%, so this is deadly stuff.
We show cases, 99% of which are totally harmless.
Not just older.
Yeah, exactly.
People, to plenty of young people.
Young people are almost immune to this disease.
Isn't that true?
It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus.
We lose thousands and thousands of people a year to the flu. We don't turn the country off.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
So the angle is Trump is trying to play it down so the stock market does well, maybe so people don't go out and panic, so that he can't so they can't use it against him to win the election. Let's see what Trump how he's responding to this.
Did you mislead the public by saying that you downplayed the coronavirus, and that you repeatedly did that in order to reduce panic?
He's saying, did you downplay the virus?
Well, I think if you said in order to reduce panic, perhaps that's so. The fact is, I'm a cheerleader for this country. I love our country. And I don't want people to be frightened. I don't want to create panic, as you say. And certainly I'm not going to drive this.
I mean, a lot of this, you know, in March when all this was going down, remember how quick all the shelves were emptied of toilet paper first and then all the food right away. So, I mean, you don't want to freak out the country too much.
This country or the world into a frenzy. We want to show confidence. We want to show strength. We want to show strength as a nation.
Did you mislead
Like the editing on that last video, it's like, what did he say? That he's got 99, he says 99% of people are okay. It could be worse than the flu and still not be the end of the world too. It's like there's a gray area there. But anyway, this is the big news today. Here, where am I? Here's the other one they had the other day. This Lincoln Project. I think it's a Democrat 578,000 subscribers. This is the one about Kushner as well.
Evil is real. We ignore it when it seems educated,
I
polite.
think I played this the other day on the stream. Like, this is all about the Kushner is evil angle, and I've done so many videos and talked about how they're really portraying Kushner in the media as like this evil antichrist archetypal figure with tons of power and influence and serving Israel.
Ignore it when it seems educated, polite, superficially charming, even sophisticated. We trivialize it, ignore it, and when we do, it grows. On March 31st in the Trump White House, Trump's COVID team led by Jared Kushner decided to ignore testing in states with Democratic governors. Evil was in that room. Oh, it looked like any other bureaucratic meeting. There were PowerPoints, spreadsheets, briefings, and estimates of the dead. It was that meeting that
This voiceover guy is kind of annoying.
led to Trump policies that would kill more Americans than Pearl Harbor, Vietnam, and 9/11. More Americans than World War I. It was deliberate, cold, political, premeditated. Some people say Trump and Kushner were incompetent when it came to COVID, but let's call it what it is.
Is this America's Purim? Is Kushner and Ivanka and Trump trying to I mean, the way that the left is going about this, approaching this, is that Trump wanted to kill everybody.
It is what it is.
Evil.
The Lincoln Project
Evil.
is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Like, they're basically strongly implying that Trump is an evil, psychopathic murderer. Pretty heavy stuff. Masks are important. Masks are important. That's why we've got this. Imagine if I was in the store and I saw somebody do this, take off their mask and like cough on me while I'm eating my food. This would be repulsive. This is France's President Macron. Takes off the mask to cough into his hand. Real genius. We're seeing some bloopers and snafus with these masks. The whole mask situation. The new normal. Flattening that curve. Associated Press, AstraZeneca has put its coronavirus vaccine trials on hold as it investigates a patient who had serious side effects. Temporary halts in medical studies aren't uncommon. 2 other vaccines are in final stage tests in the U.S. by other drug firms. So, extreme side effects. Good thing they didn't rush this one through to market for the mandatory Operation Warp Speed deployed by the military. And what they're doing here, this is like a setup. This is them trying to build their trust. Like, oh, see, you know, we test these things, and if there's any side effects, we'll take this very serious and we'll take it off the market. And these tests catch this kind of stuff. So this is them building the trust. Like this one, oh, the first one didn't work, but when we say it does work, it will work, and you're gonna have to take it. You want to participate in society. I covered maybe a month ago, there was headlines everywhere that Russia had the vaccine. Why if they've got such a successful vaccine that passed their testing, why aren't they sharing the recipe? Are they allowed to share the recipes? I mean, they're taxpayer funded, these studies. Now, Biden, this is Bernard Carrick. This is the police commissioner on 9/11 in New York. Took a trip to Israel shortly before 9/11. Got a big loan from a rich Zionist over there. His department's the one that came up with that burn-proof, fire-proof, explosion-proof passport in the rubble on the day. But this Biden, it's like electing this guy as your candidate for the Democrats is like, and then all the rioting and then the Antifa and the lying media. It's like they're trying to push people towards Trump. Like we're watching a WWE match, and this is the fall guy to make everybody enthusiastically vote for the Zionist bought and paid for president. Here we go. Biden. Like, this is almost cruel what they're doing. Like, I'm against Trump. Biden's a Zionist too, but it's just anybody can watch Biden and see that he's like going senile, or the stutter, the dementia. It comes off so awful. I can't believe they're trotting him out to do this. This is so sad that this is the best, supposedly the best that America has to offer to lead the country.
I can hardly wait to compare my cognitive capability to the cognitive capability of the man I'm running against. We gotta, it's just, but you gotta, I mean, we gotta reassure, look, play the radio, make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone, make sure the kids hear words. COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it. The words of a president matter.
That's what he does when he forgets what he's saying. He says, think about it. He stutters his eyes. He closes his eyes. It's sad. This is awful. And they don't want him to debate Trump. Trump is going to mop the floor. It's going to be a shit show. It's going to be a slugfest. Hopefully they really go at it hard in the debates, if there ever is debates. So that'll be entertaining, to say the least. There'll probably be some groveling over who will be better for Israel. I'm sure that'll be a big part of it.
We cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. We can only reelect Donald Trump. No matter how competent or incompetent the president is, they can send a nation to war, they can bring peace, they can make markets rise or fall. I'm going to beat Joe Biden. You know, the rapidly rising I don't know, Mr. President, wake up. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other guy. Give me a look, though, okay? All men and women created by you know the thing. I just can't.
You know the thing. That's the funniest one. And they can put together compilations of Trump mispronouncing words and slurring his speech and sounding stupid. When you give a lot of speeches, I muffle up my words and misspeak all the time. They could do compilations of me, and they're on air, on camera far more than I am. But it's obviously a serious problem here. How did they elect this guy of all the people?
Can't figure the guy. It's like watching a yo-yo. I shouldn't have said it that way. It's like watching.
It feels that way. I want to ask.
That face.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
Chris. I just did Chris. No, I just did Chuck. Why doesn't he just act like a president? That's a stupid way to say it.
You know, Donald Trump was asked
How many times in this interview is he going to say something and go, oh, that sounded stupid. I shouldn't say that. Oh, that's the look of shame there. And they have a lag in this interview. So it happens with me and my guests when there's a lag too. And it's annoying. You stop talking, and then as soon as the other person starts talking, you start talking too. It happens like every single time, but still, it's just.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I probably best I don't.
It's probably best.
Just don't tell anybody I told you this. Especially don't tell Joe Biden. I don't think that there should be any debates.
End of quote.
Yeah, they want no debates. I gotta say, the campaign ads in 2020 are maybe the all-time best. It's like a movie playing out how crazy the clown world is unfolding. Kufi Christians United for Israel, we just learned recently that it confirmed, everybody's suspicions confirmed, John Hagee is a paid Israeli Zionist propagandist, paid by the government of Israel to get Christians in America to worship Israel, to act as a propagandist for the IDF, for their military. And he says, quote, all their quotes from Kufi on Twitter are so cringe. The Israeli flags, the worship of a foreign country. Israel is alive. Israel is thriving. Israel is growing. That means growing settlements, growing to Eretz Israel, growing in power. And this obsession with them fulfilling their prophecy and growing to this great nation. And, they don't care about, make such a big deal about the embassy because that it's because the temple and Jerusalem and the prophecy, and they don't want Jerusalem just to be the eternal capital of Israel, but the capital of the whole world, run from Jerusalem, with the one world religion, one world currency, tech dominance. And it's all unfolding. Buckle your seatbelts, grab your popcorn. Anyway, this is the type of QAnon religious right type of stuff for Trump here. Comparing Trump to Jesus, because Jesus called some people some bad names. So when Trump does it, it's okay because Jesus did it, basically. Listen to this.
If you want the strength of the bull, you got to be willing to clean out the pen. And that's Proverbs. And so, Donald Trump comes with a lot of strength, supernatural strength. And with it, you're going to have to
supernatural. Trump has supernatural strength.
Be willing to deal with the pen, some of the stuff that comes with the strength of a bull. The other thing is, Jesus spoke very plainly. He called Herod a fox. He referred to a woman as a dog.
Jesus spoke in parable as well. I wouldn't say it's always plainly.
He said to the Pharisees,
hold on, did you hear that one?
Dog. He referred to a woman as a dog. He said to
a woman as a dog. Do you know what she's talking about? Called a woman a dog?
The Pharisees,
is that true?
You vipers and snakes. So Jesus spoke very...
Pharisees, vipers, and snakes. Did she say Pharisees?
He called Herod a fox. He referred to a woman as a dog. He said to the Pharisees, you vipers and snakes. So snakes. Jesus spoke very plainly to certain individuals. So I say, don't take offense to some of the names that Donald Trump assigns people, because you don't want to take offense to Jesus. If you want the strength.
So you take offense to Jesus. If you have a problem with Trump's name calling, you have a problem with Jesus. You're against Trump, you're against God. It's always the framing what they try to do with Trump. My last stream was Trump sent by God, where I begin the stream talking a whole lot about the Trump prophecy obsession that these people have. Now, I covered this in yesterday's stream. I just wanted to touch on it real quick. Bin Laden's niece is endorsing Trump, and she actually wrote a letter that was to General Flynn, dedicated to General Flynn. I missed that part. Flynn it seems like Flynn's got a lot up his sleeve and is really influential behind the scenes since the left forced him out. He's corrupt to the core. The whole QAnon connection also. So interesting that they're still using the legend, the Bin Laden name, to help Zionist politically. Now, this is Trump at his rally, I believe last night or early this morning. Listen to this. Nice little soundbite for the collection to add to the Trump Zionist dossier.
Because the fact is, we don't have to be in the Middle East other than we want to protect Israel. We've been very good to Israel. But other than that, we don't have to be in the Middle East. We don't need, there was a time we needed desperately. We don't need that anymore. We have more than they do. Isn't that nice?
So he's saying we have more oil than they do in the Middle East, which I'm not sure if that's true. Fact check that one. But he says the only reason we're in the Middle East is because of Israel. I think I have a louder version. Go.
Because the fact is, we don't have to be in the Middle East other than we want to protect Israel. We've been very good to Israel.
It's not our job to protect Israel. I don't want to protect Israel. They can take care of themselves and handle their own problems. It's not our job to protect Israel.
But other than that, we don't have to be in the Middle East. We don't need, there was a time we needed desperately. We don't need that anymore. We have more.
Only reason we're in the Middle East is because of Israel. So the president can say it, and then when we say it, though, well, that's an anti-Semitic trope. Headline Jerusalem Post. This was back November 2018. Trump, U.S. troops will remain in the Middle East for Israel. Oil is becoming less and less of a reason to stay in the Middle East because we're producing more oil now than we've ever produced. So this is just the same line once again. Only in Israel or only in the Middle East for Israel. Fighting for Zionism. They always like to brag that they can. Well, before we get there, here let's play this. Oops, this isn't what I wanted. That is the wrong clip. Trump. Here we go.
Saudi Arabia's.
Oh, never mind. That's what happened. Here's Trump. We're only in the Middle East because of Israel. We're only dealing with Saudi Arabia because of Israel, giving them
Saudi
weapons.
Arabia's tremendously helpful. Saudi Arabia's tremendously helpful in the Middle East. If we didn't have Saudi Arabia, we wouldn't have a big base. We wouldn't have any reason, probably. I mean, if you look at Israel, Israel would be in big trouble without Saudi Arabia. So what does that mean? Israel's going to leave? You want Israel to leave? We have a very strong ally in Saudi Arabia. We have an ally that said they did not commit at the top level, the crown prince, the king. They did not commit this atrocity, and it's an atrocity. It's a terrible thing.
We've also got Putin declaring his support for Israel as well. Here, let's bring. We got Putin supporting it as well. Let's see, where was it? Not finding the headline right now. I'll have to search my files. They like to pretend as they lobby nonstop with AIPAC and all the Israel lobbies for aid, for military aid. They mandate all the members of Congress sign the pledge that they have a qualitative military edge on everybody and unconditional, unwavering support, unconditional, no matter what. But then they also like to brag that they can take care of themselves and that they're the geniuses with the most advanced military, which they do have one of the most advanced militaries. Like AIPAC says, Israel faces real and growing threats from Iran, including new dangers posed by Iranian cruise missiles and drones. American security assistance is vital to ensuring Israel can defend itself by itself. And this is just one example. So So they're defending themselves by themselves with us helping. And I swear I've seen this same argument in multiple tweets. This is just the one I could find this afternoon. So they're doing it by themselves, but we're helping them. This is a little clip from We're Marching to Zion, a video I put out late 2018. Trump gets asked a question.
Of the United States.
Thank you.
This is where Netanyahu
It is that we have America.
Unlike America, Israel seems to be able to fight wars very quickly. What is your secret? Because we don't seem to have the hang of that.
The secret is that we have America.
The secret, they have America. They say, Bibi, this is a secret recording in the occupied West Bank settlements. He says, but then the world will say, how come you're conquering again? The world won't say a thing. The world will say we're defending. Aren't you afraid, Bibi? Oh my gosh. The world will say we're defending ourselves. That's the line they always like to use. Aren't you afraid of the world, Bibi? No. No. Did you see his face when she asked, are you afraid of the world? Look at his response. No, he almost laughs. He says, I know, especially with America, I know what America is. America is something that can easily be moved to the right direction. Don't talk about their control, though. Don't talk about their influence. This is our greatest ally we're talking about here. Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, used to sleep in Kushner's bed when he visited close family friends. His dad, Netanyahu, knew Trump's dad in the early 80s. America can be something that can be easily moved in the right direction, like we're their golden calf. They say they're for us, but it's like they won't get in our way. They won't get in our way. On the other hand, if we do something, then 80% of Americans support us. It's absurd. He laughs with his constituents, his Talmudic extremist settlers, about how many Americans naively are duped into supporting them. Hear the inflection, the tone in his voice. He's like, it's absurd. They're so stupid. They support us. We have the kind of support, and we say, what will we do with the...
I'm opposed to wasting our military in the Middle East on behalf of Zionist Israel. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, let me just tell you that Israel is a very, very important ally of the United States, and we are going to protect them 100%. 100%. They've been our most reliable.
Using your tax dollars and sending American soldiers to go die in the Middle East like they have been doing, all to fulfill the rebirth of their prophecy, their land in Zion with the Jerusalem and the temple and their Moshiach, all fulfilling Zionism, which is essentially Judaism. There would be no Zionism without Judaism. They're shaping the future based on their religion.
It's our true friend over there, and we're going to protect Israel.
Our true friend that spies on us, that buys off our medals in our elections, openly buys off our politicians, blackmails, intimidates, spy, sells our secrets to our enemies, backstabs us to our enemies. And they just keep repeating it over and over. They all bend the knee and they say, "Oh, greatest ally."
100%.
I really feel our country has lost its footing. We have a co-country that works with us. It has
a whole co-country, like just this relationship merged forever is the APEC motto. Here's from Strucker on Twitter. U.S. aid to Israel official figure here is 142 billion. Just a little MSNBC breakdown of. This doesn't include the tech stolen by Israeli spies with the U.S. government and corporations.
This is bilateral assistance. The United States has been sending money to Israel for decades. In fact, Israel has been the largest cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign assistance since World War II. Now, so far,
more support than everyone. I don't think they're going to be gracious for us building them up to the superpower that they're turning into. Robbing us blind, exactly.
Far, Israel has racked up a total of approximately 142.3
thanks to them buying off all of the evangelical Zionist pastors.
$1 billion in aid. This is bilateral assistance, nuclear, but missile defense funding and other forms of military aid and cash aid. Just to give you the scope of how much this is annually, Israel received $3.2 billion in aid in the fiscal year 2007.
Our politicians are all over there working to negotiate peace and Israel's diplomatic standing in the world. We're always giving billions of dollars to build them up that could be used on the streets of America. Homeless everywhere, the infrastructure deteriorating, and they'll argue, oh, well, this is such a small percentage of the budget. It doesn't matter. It's the principle of it. They claim that they're high-tech geniuses and they're the startup nation and that they're chosen, but they need us to do everything for them.
Alone. The same year, the U.S. spent more than $46 billion in total foreign aid. About 7% of that went to Israel. The only two countries in 2017 that received more were Afghanistan and Iraq. In 2016, the United States formally signed a foreign...
And they always want more, too. And then they say, oh, we don't need the aid, but then they secretly fight desperately for it.
Aid agreement with Israel. It's the largest aid package in American history. It requires the United States to send $38 billion in military aid to Israel.
To a tiny little strip of land in the Middle East.
Over a 10-year period, and it prohibits any future president from withdrawing from the agreement until 2026.
Wow.
Hey.
Wow. No president's allowed to get out of it. Who negotiated that deal? What a screw job. And then, let's see. Remember, we work with Israel. Trump vetoes 3 bills prohibiting arms sales to Saudi Arabia. They tried to stop him from arming the Zionist axis of evil, the radical Islamic extremists over there in Saudi Arabia, and that are destroying Yemen. They tried to pass bills saying to end the Yemen war as well. Trump vetoed those. I wonder who he's serving. Is that an America First policy? Or is this the Israel Zionist New World Order policy? I think we know our answer.
The guilt of the Holocaust.
They're able to get away with this. All right. In other news, U.S. Army to use Israeli AR-controlled drone system. This one's from Zionist Report Post. Israeli company. They steal our own tech and then sell it back to us. Our taxpayer dollars fund the Iron Dome with American company, and then they want to sell it back to us and then won't give us the codes. All the spying, Israel's tech dominance. I have a whole playlist on Israel's tech takeover up on the channel. If you haven't watched these videos, most importantly, Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to rule the world. 56,000 views in a year on that one. This one's got 50,000 too. How about that? Check out that playlist. I'll link it at the end of this video if I can remember. So drones, Israeli drones coming to America.
This drone will now be protecting U.S. soldiers on the battlefield, taking the U.S.-Israeli military.
Don't you guys feel safer that we got Israeli drones protecting us First, it'll be the battlefield protecting the troops, then it'll be in our streets, and the self-driving cars, and all the chips, and all the software.
Partnership a step further.
All partnership with Israel and the ADL, with their R&D centers all over in Israel. All Unit 8200, NSA equivalent, ruling the world with advanced technology.
Produced by the Israeli company Extend, the Skylord uses augmented reality to protect soldiers. Its main mission is protecting troops from a variety of inbound aerial threats, and most notably, other drones. It has been battle-tested on Israel's border with Gaza, intercepting incendiary balloons.
Tested on the people of Gaza. It can stop balloons. You fly your drone into the balloon, and it, the balloons that have like a stick that's on fire or something. You know, that's enough to slaughter a few Palestinians protesting at the border fence, the illegal border. It's not even a border fence. It's just a fence right in the middle of wherever the IDF wants to put it for now.
This joint activity implements novel technological capabilities, take a field of augmented reality, and from the world of gaming. It enables the troops of both nations to employ intuitive, battle-proven, and precise systems.
They're always bragging about them testing all their weapons and their bombs and their missiles on the people of Gaza. They say, battle tested, field tested. Does a great job. So a little drama in Tinseltown. Pesach Latin, don't know who that is, but ironic Rebbe. Sheldon reporting, apparently, Sheldon Adelson, Israel firster and Trump top donor, has cut off Trump and is privately telling people in Vegas he blames Trump for him losing billions. This is amazing. This person says, Sheldon Adelson didn't want to put on tefillin. That is the leather strap with the black cube that they put on their arm and on their forehead. He didn't want to put it on. Ooh, not keeping it kosher as much as they want to. The billions of dollars in donations aren't enough if he doesn't put on the black cube. That would be a great photo. He knows people like me would have had a heyday with Sheldon Adelson with the black cube on. He does wear the kippah, the Trump Make Israel Great Again kippah. Politico reported last month, Trump antagonizes GOP megadonor Adelson in heated phone call. Trump chided the Las Vegas mogul, financial linchpin in his re-election effort, for not spending more, and now he might not. What's going on? Adelson. Also, here's CNBC. This is back in 2018, but I'm not sure. I have to look into more if this is playing out right now. But billionaire megadonor Robert Mercer, who funds Breitbart, Rebel Media, I think Project Veritas, much of this alt media, Zionist, Trump supporting online websites and media celebrities. Robert Mercer cuts back on support for GOP after being scrutinized for backing Trump. His daughter, Rebecca Mercer. Are they all abandoning Trump, or are just some of them, and he still's got the support of others? Trump still needs to go speak to AIPAC, if I remember. They might not have an AIPAC conference, though. We should see AIPAC, Trump and Biden and Kamala and Pence, all of them at AIPAC probably before the election. So we've all got that to look forward to. I'm sure it'll be a real cringe fest. Avi Berkowitz, Kushner's mini-me. It's kind of satisfying, honestly, that this guy who's right there in the halls of power, Avi Berkowitz, I've done 2 videos on him talking about his background, he's blue check marked, works in the White House, gets big media coverage, and I've still managed with grassroots, hard work, more followers on Twitter than he's got. But here he shares Fox News, Israel, United Arab Emirates to sign historic peace deal in White House ceremony next week. So they're still celebrating and taking their victory laps about this peace deal, they're calling it. It's a pure, or they're calling it the Abrahamic Accords. So it's the beginning of some serious prophecy, one world government, one world religion, when they name it the Abrahamic Accords. But they were celebrating last week. Now I guess they're about to do some ceremony, some peace deal, historic peace deal, signature ceremony, signing the deal. He's got 3.4 thousand likes on this one. That's a lot. Big names are retweeting this one. He's Kushner's little mini-me is how they describe him, his sidekick, his best friend. And this is also breaking now because of this, the Jerusalem Post. Donald Trump, breaking today, was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for his hand in reaching the Israel-UAE deal. So we were promised the Palestinian peace deal, but what we're getting is this UAE Israel deal. And they're hyping it up like it's the biggest thing in the world. Like, nobody thought it was possible. Israel and UAE having peace. It's like, did anybody think that they were at war to begin with? And two, they've already been closely, covertly allied with them, sharing technology, sharing weapons. When this first broke a couple weeks ago, I did a whole stream on it. That their relationship was already going. It's coming to the surface now. They're not hiding it. They're going for their alliance, their peace with all the countries to fulfill the blueprints they're following to fulfill the prophecies. Number one, I thought all the Trump supporters didn't like the Nobel Peace Prize. They gave Obama a Peace Prize. But now that Trump gets it, it's suddenly they care about it. He's just nominated, I guess, so he hasn't won it. This was promised. You remember this was promised to us by Jerome Corsi and Alex Jones that for moving the embassy to Jerusalem, they said. Corsi said, maybe I should just play it. I'll play it. Jerome Corsi told Alex Jones. Where do we find this? We're going to go to InfoWars Exposed.
Breaking exclusive news from Dr. Jerome Corsi and his extensive connect.
So this was at least 2017, because this is when I posted it. Exclusive breaking news from ultra-Zionist CNP and member and former WorldNet Daily reporter Jerome Corsi.
In the Middle East, where he served as an advisor to the State Department and more, and a lot of classified areas we can't get into. He has major breaking news exclusive right now. Dr. Corsi, thanks for giving InfoWars the exclusive.
Well, Alex, it's great. I'm actually today in Nashville, Tennessee, and working with a really important cybersecurity company. And I just got text from top intelligence in Israel.
I just realized I was on mute. I can't mute when I cough anymore. Got hired by Alex Jones. It came out that he was busted in mainstream media, declassified documents. The mainstream media in America ignored it, and him and Roger Stone, two InfoWars employees, were communicating with a guy, high-level government official connected to Netanyahu in Israel.
Israel has nominated Donald Trump for the 2017 Peace Prize. He was nominated last year. There's about 200 nominations, but this is in advance of Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu's visit with Trump, which is coming up in the next few days. And Israel has decided to make this nomination basically on the decision to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, and the fact that Donald Trump has had the courage of his convictions, again, another promise in the campaign being fulfilled, taking, I think, an historic, maybe even biblical step to legitimate the state of Israel.
biblical step to legitimize Israel. So they were going to give him the Nobel Prize back in 2017. Now it's actually happening, but because of this so-called peace deal. Nobel Peace Prize is sort of a joke, I think, if you see the list of people that have gotten it. And for a peace deal, there's an awful lot of weapon sales for this supposed peace deal that's going down. Netanyahu privately condoned U.S. plan to sell arms to the UAE, officials said. The package being pushed by Trump White House, which should shift the military balance in the Middle East, includes an electronic warfare plane, the EA-18G Growler. Netanyahu secretly okayed F-35 jet sales to UAE, report claims. Netanyahu lied about his opposition to the deal. They pretend to have a public stance, and they're secretly doing the opposite behind the scenes. Very duplicitous, very deceptive of Jacob there, using his deception to trick Esau. They take pride in that. The deal includes ultra-advanced radar jamming planes that could give UAE a step up. So this is what this peace deal is all about. Major weapon sales. War is peace. War is peace, right? Is that 1984? War is peace. War is peace. Yes, 1984. George Orwell. Haaretz, Israeli press, says the real deal for Israel and the UAE is weapons. The Emirates spend billions of dollars a year on arms procurement. Now Israel stands to get in on the action. So, give Trump the peace prize. So the Abrahamic Accords and the peace, all the countries lining up to make peace with Israel, that our American representative politicians are over negotiating, brokering all these deals for Israel's standing in the world. They ran on a platform of America first, but they're busy over trying to make Israel great again, not America. Chad said to deny, so another country in Africa, Chad said to deny plans to open diplomatic mission in Jerusalem. Debbie, who is the president's son, Israel said the North African country was willing to open an office in the capital, but they're denying that. So it's like Israel's going around like, yeah, they're going to move it to the embassy to Jerusalem. They're going to move it. They're sneaking it into deals. That's how I started the stream yesterday. The president of Serbia was like, I signed what? What about the embassy? And started flipping through the pages saying, what did I sign? Looking around like, oh no, this isn't good. There was an Arab League conference, and they had no agreement on the Palestinian issue. So I covered that. This is an update from yesterday. Ongoing story we're covering here. We're monitoring the situation on how all of the Arab countries are going to sell out Palestine to Israel for their advanced tech and for their Zio New World Order being set up. This is breaking. Kushner was top trending because of this today. Kushner says Saudi Arabia and Bahrain to allow all Israeli flights to use airspace. Kushner says Saudi Arabia, Bahrain to allow all Israeli flights to use airspace. For Israel, somebody says, Kushner working hard for peace. Almost should be nominated himself. Oh yeah, that'll be a nice one for Kushner's resume. Maybe they'll give Kushner a Nobel Prize. That'll go right on his Moshiach resume. And then him and Ivanka become president, VP. 2024, 2028. This is a disturbing story. It's the meme for this is, what you doing, Rabbi? These hoax, hate crimes. It's like every week another headline about these hoax hate crimes, which is why you should almost never take these serious or take these at face value. They're playing the victim Playing the persecuted victim is a very powerful situation to be in. And if anybody knows the art of war, if you are weak, you don't portray yourself as weak. But if you are strong, you can portray yourself as weak. And that is definitely how you can sum up the situation that's going on here. Scottish Jewish lawyer plotted to frame pro-Palestinian group for home vandalism. Found to have commented on social media posts about an attack he knew never happened, with accusations that Scottish Palestine Solidarity Campaign was the culprit. He wanted to discredit the pro-Palestinian group and accusing it of vandalism that he was aware never happened. So I guess he just said vandalism happened and it didn't. He didn't actually go out and do it himself. He faked a graffiti attack on his own home. Exactly. So many examples. I've covered this in many past videos. They cry out in pain as they strike you with their hoax hate crimes. And then the ADL collects all these and says, look at the anti-Semitism is exploding everywhere. We need to censor it all, shut it all down, smear our enemies by lying about them. Sickening. Sickening. So deceptive. Pro-Israel lawyer faked graffiti attack. Oh, this guy too. I covered him a little bit ago. He had a fake account. He was running this Jewish, involved with some Jewish group. He had fake accounts online that were putting out insightful, inflammatory, anti-Semitic rhetoric. And it turns out, oh, what you doing? But of course, the narrative that they're always pushing, covered this some yesterday, is that white supremacy is the most lethal, the most imminent, the most concerning threat to the USA. No, not Antifa. And Trump promised to label Antifa a domestic terrorist group, and that never happened, apparently. Antifa, they probably let Antifa do their thing because that's going to help Trump get elected. Nobody likes to see statues, most of America, I should say, doesn't like to see statues being burnt down and calling for the death to America and saying all white people are evil and the Marxist BLM. Antifa and burning and the riots help Trump. But they ignore all that, and white people are the biggest threat, the most evil. Meanwhile, we see incidents like this.
Do you know how many people I have?
Every day.
Black people I've hired.
Yeah, you done took off your man.
You have no clue. You have no clue.
Please.
Don't turn your head. Every day we see violent acts like this, where if it were the other way around, it would be top news and riots. And this is what the media is inciting. The media knew that this would be inevitable with their inflammatory rhetoric and their divisive racial politics. They knew that they can create enough hatred in people that they're going to go out and start attacking, and then the other side will retaliate, and it'll just be an escalation, divide and conquer. It's not looking good. And of course, as the DHS and white supremacy, the myth of white supremacy is everywhere in the headlines, written by the media that's owned by the true supremacists that think they're chosen to be a light unto the nations. This is here's some light unto the nations for you. This is for Grace Really Graceful. She's got a nice YouTube channel, does good videos. Teacher admits he helped write Common Core to end white privilege.
Body, so the people that are actually using it like it. And again, in terms of the local control, you still have local control. So if you want higher standards, if that is your genuine point, then you can go ahead and do the higher standard. And the process was indeed totally transparent. And I'm going to defer now to David and Bill.
I'm not paid to be here either. I'm just an interested teacher who helped write the standards. And the reason why I helped write the standards and the reason why I am here today is that as a white male in society, I'm given a lot of privilege that I didn't earn. And as a result, I think it's really important. I think it's really important that all kids.
Whoa, what's his name on him? Is this a fellow white here? I think it is. I'm gonna have to check, but I'm glad to see the oohs and the boos in the crowd after this. This has got to be a fellow white. I think that's him right there, and if it is, it looks a little fellow whitey to me.
And the reason why I helped write the standards and the reason why I am here today.
So he's here today, and he wrote the standards for Common Core and for education system. This reminds me of Charlotte Iserby. She's wrote The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. She worked for the Department of Education. She's a whistleblower on the dumbing down of the education system in America. She said she found a document. I'm trying to get her on, by the way. She found a document, this conference, this organization years ago that really drastically changed the course of the education system. She said 39 of the 40 names were not Gentile, put it that way.
Is that as a white male in society, I'm given a lot of privilege that I didn't earn. And as a result, I think it's really important. I think it's really important that all kids get an equal opportunity to learn how to read. And I think I had decided advantages as a result of who I was, not being any choice of mine. And when I walk into places like Roberto Clemente High School on the west side of Chicago, I think it's really important that those kids learn how to read just as well as I had the opportunity to read. And in creating an equitable,
less fellow white looking.
An equitable.
How's the radar going off, guys? What do you think? Let me know in the chat. I'm gonna have to look up the name if I can find it.
Educational opportunity for all kids. I think this is actually the greatest lesson we can teach our kids.
Campus reform, which I just learned is a sponsored, owned by a Zionist CNP, high-level Council for National Policy member. Okay, let's see for the early life check. Every single time. David Coleman. How did I know? Coleman was born in Manhattan to a family. To a fellow white privileged family. Jeez. Common Core, he's often described in the media as the architect of the Common Core State Standards Initiative. Oh my gosh. It's, you know, everything Trump does seems to be awful and shilling for Israel, but if his executive order or whatever he declared the other day saying no more white privilege, clash, what was the term that he banned yesterday? We needed that. This anti-Esau, this anti-Edom propaganda, we know where it's coming from. Even in the non-religious, it's like an artifact in the secular that's like ingrained, the hate, the hostility to the outgroup, to the Gentile outgroup that needs to be subverted and manipulated into how you think the world should be with your chosenness, supremacist ethics, ethnic or ethic, moral superiority. I hope to get Charlotte Iserby on. I talked to her assistant, email. Another friend emailed me too. I sent her an email, still waiting, but I can't wait to show her this. I'll have to have this saved. Every time. Every single time. Jeez. Okay, next news. Interesting story here. This was going on maybe a week or two ago. It was a big trend on Twitter for young Jewish kids, girls, and teens. I think some guys were doing it too. TikTok creators pretend to be victims of the Nazis. They were doing these little Holocaust videos. And some people are criticizing them, saying this is not good for the legacy. You know, what it is it's not virtue signaling. It's like victim complex. It's fulfilling their victim complex obsession. The eternal victim, the eternal persecuted, that they're trying to get social media points by I guess, putting on some makeup and playing some music and pretending like, you're there in the Holocaust. Shouldn't even say that word online. ADL is pushing hardcore propaganda about this too. New survey shows H education helps students. Connections between the H and modern day events. So they want to use this weaponized, propagandized, to influence everything that goes on today. Understand the importance of speaking up against any stereotyping, unless it's against white people. You can all white people have white privilege. All white people are inherently racist. White people, you look on Netflix, all the jokes and the hatred for white people. But yeah, that stereotyping's okay. You make a stereotype about a Jewish person, though, and you get slapped with anti-Semitism, even if these stereotypes are embedded in the Torah, in their stories their origin stories that they hold so deep and influence their lives, and comprehend how the H happened. So this is ADL promoting this. This is Jerusalem Post. This is out yesterday. H education survivor testimony leads to, quote, empathy and tolerance. Questionnaire sampled. So they're doing all these studies on how to best manipulate and dispel their propaganda. Sampled 1,500 college students. Some of the students in the sample underwent Holocaust education in high school. Others did not. So if they have more empathy and tolerance, they're trying to justify mandating Holocaust education by saying, oh, it helps them have more empathy and tolerance. It helps it so we never get criticized for anything that we do. That we've got you guys are eternally guilty and we're the eternal victims. By the way, on nomorenews.org, see my part 1 and part 2, and I'm still working on part 3. That'll be soon, of the burnt offering atonement ritual video for some deeper understanding that you won't get in the mainstream media, to say the least. Okay, I covered this a bit yesterday, but it deserves more because it's such an important issue. Maybe I should just save this and do a whole video just on circumcision. I might have to do that and put it up on BitChute. But maybe not. It's so important. It needs to be on YouTube. People got to get off of YouTube and get over to DLive. Like I'm about to hit 10,000 followers on DLive. Links are all on nomorenews.org. Follow on DLive. BitChute, I'm almost to 20,000. But we really got to get the numbers up over there. I'm not saying it to waste my breath or for my health. YouTube is dead. Okay, so this is what we covered yesterday. Danish Parliament, Denmark, is debating bill that would ban non-medical circumcision. Goldstein, the president of the Jewish... Where did it go? Come on. President of the Jewish community in Denmark says measure represents, quote, the worst threat since World War II to the country's Jews. They take their foreskin so seriously. This special covenant ritual that they do on the 7th day to babies without their consent, selective religious genital mutilation. This country that doesn't practice it, that doesn't believe in it, thinks it's awful, think it should be illegal. Jewish organizations around the world fight it. They do the same thing for kosher law. This is Iceland 2.0. We're going to see an Iceland 2.0. Remember the threat. So I retweeted the ADL today, and they deleted their tweet because they're tweeting about this bill saying, oh, they hope. They tweeted out this article. ADL urges... Oh, wait, that's the Iceland bill. Okay, they have an article up. Maybe they took the whole article down. We're going to have to look. I don't like to get stuff wrong. Let's see. Where do we see... September 8th. Okay, so they just deleted the whole tweet. Oh gosh. ADL is responding to Laura Loomer's ad. They say Laura Loomer has a well-known track record of promoting bigotry. I played this on yesterday's show. Accomplished all of these in a single disgusting attack ad. She should take it down and apologize. Just because the ADL prefers the leftist, you-know-who over there in Florida, doesn't mean that Laura Loomer is good. Don't get that twisted. They're both, when it ultimately comes down to it, they're both Israel first and Israel foremost. So they took down, ADL was getting slaughtered and they actually took it down. They had a tweet out today. I wish I got a screenshot of it. I bet somebody did. See, this is the threat. They took it down. And I said, Iceland 2.0, remember the threats. This is from the Mighty Ducks, one of my favorite movies as a kid. The Iceland hockey team, they were the big badasses, but they ultimately lost to the Mighty Ducks. So they took it down. They were getting slaughtered. And I asked, my response was, what does this have to do with defamation? What does a country, the Nordic countries are the ones that want to do this, that ban circumcision. What does this have to do with defamation? Like, all they are is just an arm of world Jewry, of B'nai B'rith. They're not about defamation. They're about defending anybody that notices things. So this is what they did to Iceland. ADL, this is March 23rd, 2018. Iceland wanted to ban, and they dropped the hammer, and it didn't happen. ADL urges Iceland. They were able to throw out the bankers, right? We heard the Icelanders threw out the bankers, but they couldn't get rid of the circumcision. And when you talk about circumcision, they really freak out. They get really angry. You do not mess with their ritual, their blood magic covenant. ADL urges Iceland to drop the bill banning male circumcision. Written by, I think this one was written by Greenblatt. And then they sent April 20th letter to Iceland's Minister for Foreign Affairs on proposed male circumcision ban. Is this the one from? Yeah, he says, we hope your ministry's letter represents your government's formal opposition to the proposed ban and that the coalition parties will call for party discipline among their members or parliament to defeat any proposal to ban circumcision of young boys. I mean, it's really essentially no different than female genital mutilation. The babies don't have consent, selective surgery. They cut off the nerve endings. You know, God made us perfect in his image, but, you know, we just had to get rid of the foreskins. You know, he didn't get it just right. And they make all the justifications like it's better for your health. And they're I don't even want to say the term that just came to me, but it's pilpul. They're trying to justify that they do it by saying it's better. I say it should be banned in America too. Anyway, how's this for a threat? We hope that you will discipline the people in your government for anybody proposing that this be banned. Now here, this is the actual threat that they gave. You know what? I skipped over Holocaust. Since we're reading the ADL, I can play. This is Greenblatt on why their education is so important.
The guilt of the Holocaust and its memory is fading, and that's allowing, again, I think, bad ideas to come into the center.
They need more World War II guilt so that nobody can criticize them. He says it right there. This is their plan.
The guilt of the Holocaust and its memory is fading, and that's allowing, again, I think, bad ideas to come into the center.
Because
bad ideas to come into the center. He means the truth about what they're doing, about what the Israel Firster, the Zionists, the communists are doing. And he says, oh, we need more Holocaust education. The guilt is fading. We need to be eternal guilt. This is how the ADL, this is from Curse. Curse did a whole thread on this on Twitter. Let's look at how global Jewry exerts pressure on Western countries to advance Jewish interests. To illustrate this, we'll need to travel to Iceland. They introduced a bill to ban circumcision, 2018. The bill was sponsored by, no children under the age of 18. If they want to do it when they're 18, they can still do it. You know, they think Esau is impure because he had some skin issue that he couldn't be circumcised until days later after the 7 days. So that's why we're not as pure as them in their eyes. That's how important this is. Not to mention the sick, disgusting practice of them doing the oral suction, the herpes transmission. I mean, are we not allowed to ban that either? Is that going to be protected as well? I guess it is. Same argument, same logic behind it. The bill was sponsored in Iceland by 8 of Iceland's 63 parliament members who span 5 different political parties, which represented 48 of Iceland's parliamentary seats. The doctors in Iceland support the ban on circumcision. Within 48 hours, 422 doctors, that's 25% of all the doctors in Iceland, and 1,300 nurses, they know how cruel it is. They know how cruel it is to do this on the most sensitive part of a newborn baby. Imagine the trauma, the psychological trauma doing something like this does. That wasn't surprising since Iceland already outlawed female circumcision in 2005, and only 21 male children have been circumcised in Iceland since then. They got 2 letters from the ADL for 21 male children to be circumcised since 2005. And they threatened their whole country. Okay, now we got to go down. We're going to skip through to 20. So after all this, they sent over a Chabad Lubavitch rabbi to try to stake their claim to the country and say that, no, you can't. He moved there with his daughters to bring awareness of the relevance and importance of Brit Milah, circumcision. Avi Feldman decided to go, hello, fellow Icelanders. Looks like he doesn't even have a boy, so he won't even be able to practice what he preaches. Chabad will open Iceland's first synagogue. It's like all the kosher food, too. All the kosher on the food. Okay, we're looking for the... Okay, here's one of the threats. This is from Elliot Engel of New York. Personally penned a letter of warning to Iceland's ambassador, alluding to the bill jeopardizing Iceland's relationship with the U.S. This is from Congressman Elliot Engel, who I believe he just lost, but he's a big Zionist, wants to make anti-Semitism illegal as well. He ends the letter with, as a partner nation, we urge your government to stop this intolerant bill from advancing any further. So this is sort of implying that we're not going to be your partner if you advance with this bill anymore. There will be hell to pay. They don't want to follow any of our rules in the countries they live, but then we can't have our own rules that want to ban. I mean, it just takes somebody that like grew up their whole life, but they never heard of this ritual of circumcision, and then you proposed it to him like some 50-year-old guy, like, oh yeah, would you do this? Nobody would select to do it. Okay, we got to go to 20 is the best part. Okay, the ADL even got in the action. ADL, this is their letter that Iceland leaked. This wasn't the public letter. They say, we write, okay, let's make this big. We write to offer 3 compelling reasons against the adoption of a ban on male circumcision. ADL has studied the pervasiveness of anti-Semitic content on social media, and we know that a relatively small number of extremists are able to amplify their message quickly and broadly through social media. ADL regularly reports on such phenomena. It's always a phenomena to explain. It has nothing to do with their behavior. That's the only thing they know about this phenomena. And we will report on extremist praise for Iceland. There's the threat. He's saying, basically, we're going to say you're an extremist. You're a white supremacist country. We're going to smear you and say white people, white anti-Semites online like Iceland. We will report on extremist praise for Iceland. We urge you to consider the significant media attention in the U.S. and internationally paid to ADL reports on extremism. Look at that. They don't have any influence. Look at them bragging, saying, we will destroy you in the media. We urge you to consider the significant media I should do it in the Greenblatt voice, huh? In the U.S. and internationally paid to ADL reports on extremism. In the past 6 months alone, our research and experts have been featured on CNN and other cable TV channels, NBC and other broadcast TV, on 60 Minutes and the most watched TV news magazine in America, and in leading newspapers, including the New York Times and the Washington Post. No influence, right, guys? No influence in the media. The ADL is treated like gods in American media. I wonder why. I wonder who owns the media. Jonathan Greenblatt and the ADL get paraded around on all the mainstream media owned by the you-know-whos to spout all of their propaganda, all of their nonsense, smear good people, exposing the evil things that people are doing in the world. And then they say it's a trope and we're not allowed to talk about their control. As they censor you on the internet, they say, yeah, he was spreading the conspiracy that we controlled the internet. Banned. He gets to go on all these shows, Jonathan Greenblatt, completely uncontested. Nobody ever pushes back on anything he says. He never has to debate any of this. And we're not even done with the letter. It gets worse. Given that 28% of Iceland's tourists came from North America in 2016, Iceland's standing in the U.S. should be of a great concern from an economic perspective. They will destroy your country. They will destroy you financially, economically. They will destroy your tourism finance by smearing you as anti-Semites in the media. This is mafioso tactics. We're dealing with mobsters. The Mobster International Kosher Nostra of B'nai B'rith, their branch of the ADL. This is what they're all about. We are confident that the vast majority of American tourists will avoid a country whose reputation is associated with Nazism, even if that association is not justified. They're gonna call you Nazis even though they know you're not a Nazi, and they'll say it to your face. And then the letter gets leaked, and the media doesn't cover this. What would you call this? Extortion? Is this extortion? Is this yeah, it's extortion. It's intimidation, it's threats. And then Iceland backed down. Amazing. Great thread. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop this thread in the comments right now, because if you guys want to see more. The Ziopocalypse is upon us, guys. Here's a video I did, the one video I've done about circumcision. December 26, 2018. Joe Rogan destroys circumcision. I hoped using Joe Rogan in the title would help get a lot of views on this important subject in this compilation, but that didn't seem to work. It's got 21,000 views.
Right now, that's what they're supposed to get, and you take them and you fucking...
I did it because tribal custom, or define it as a tribal custom. And if you belong to a tribe that does it, then you really want it. And you can define tribe however you want. In my practice, I like to sort of define it as a tribal custom. And if you belong to a tribe that does it, then you really want it. And you can define tribe however you want. I did it myself as a religious ceremony. I did it because of my faith, and that's why I did it. And I didn't do it because I think everybody should do it. I did it because, for me, that's my tribe.
You've mutilated your child.
Well, I know the argument. I think it's probably you're probably right.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I've had an okay time with my cut one. It's been fine. You know, I mean.
Fecal circumcision, male genital mutilation. I'm like, go for it.
But wait a minute, isn't it? You're cutting a baby's dick.
You're one of those, are you?
But no, I'm just saying. I mean,
two things Jogan takes very seriously: weed and circumcision.
It is.
Look, I'm going to.
Right? It's cutting skin.
Well, I'm in favor of it.
Cutting babies' dicks is stupid.
Oh, for God's sake!
It's a baby's dick. You don't have to cut his dick. I mean, you know how many kids lose their dick?
And then I got a little bit of this guy too. This Jewish guy that got fired from Harvard. It's a good compilation. It's good to share with fathers out there that are not woke to these kinds of issues. So I will share this link in the description below as well. It's 20 minutes. Have that in your file to share with any dads out there that are thinking of doing the horrible. Okay, about to wrap it up here. A couple more stories. Thanks everybody for sticking with me. So we have The Daily Show, Comedy Central, owned by Viacom, owned by Sherry Rothstein, who was the observant Jew who was married to the Hasidic dynasty Kabbalah, trained in Jerusalem, Chabad Lubavitch rabbi, who was on the board of Viacom as well. This is the type of stuff that they're pushing here.
Right?
The cool, trendy guy pushing this kind of stuff.
Stop, right? Or at least if you insist on a gender reveal, you should do something that helps the situation. The water's pink. It's a girl. And aside from all the damage it can cause, celebrating a baby's genitalia is starting to feel very outdated.
Number one, gender reveals aren't about celebrating their gender. It's about revealing which gender it is. But notice how he takes that false premise and spins it into this subconscious propaganda manipulation.
Like, given everything we're learning about gender reveal parties should only happen when the child is old enough to know their actual gender and to pitch in some cash for the fire damage.
So unless this was selectively edited, which I don't think it was being shared everywhere. Could he really be serious saying, let the children be old enough to have their gender reveal? I hope that's a joke. He's not very funny, so if it is a joke, and even if it's a joke, a lot of people, it's a joke and it's funny for a reason because a lot of people literally are promoting this. The drag queen story hour and all that. Could you imagine telling a kid, oh, you know, you're nothing until you decide what you want to be, or you could be neither or either or anything you want. 8 genders in the Talmud, people. I did a whole video. Oh, you thought I was joking? Adam, they believe Adam and Eve was androgynous. Here's JTA, the 8 genders of the Talmud. I do a whole video about sexuality in Judaism. That, I believe, is in the featured videos. Maybe it rolled off the featured videos, but I'll put that link below too. Okay, where are we? Okay, update on this story too. California state senator is facing anti-Semitic and homophobic attacks as well as death threats. And, what is his name? Scott Wiener, San Francisco. Talk about stereotypical. Apparently he's co-sponsored. He wrote a bill loosening and rewriting the terms about statutory rape. He's being accused online of being letting pedophiles off. This article, they try to go through and say, oh, well, this is what the bill actually is, and it's not really that, and it's not as bad as they say it is. He's being called a pedophile. And the solution, Wiener said, is for social, so all the people spurging out him on online and just in general, all the people that are just fed posting, this is what you're helping. You're helping for the censorship. The solution, Wiener said, is for social media companies to take a larger role in policing hate speech on their platforms. Though he added, I'm not saying they should be the thought police. So I'm not saying they should be the thought police, but they need to censor more people. He says he has no immediate plans to work on legislation. Oh, thank God. So let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. Would we? And say, okay, he never has any inappropriate thoughts for underage children, and he's not trying to let predators of young children not have to serve their time. This still looks awful. Number one, he's got one strike against him straight out of the gates, is that his name is Wiener. I guess that's almost strike A and AB. Strike 1 and 1A. Anthony Weiner sentenced to nearly 2 years in prison for sexting scandal. When you already have Anthony Weiner, another Democratic politician with the name Weiner. They're both of the tribe, by the way. This is not white. This is not white people. This is not a Presbyterian problem, as the one guy said. So, same name as Anthony Weiner, the notorious sexting, sent shirtless and worse pictures to underage girls. So that's not helping his cause. Number two, photoed here with young children, goes out to these sexual marches, takes photos with doing this kind of stuff in San Francisco, and then also around little children. I mean, they know what this does to children. They know bringing children, like this, Kamala too. Kamala's friends with him. Can you blame people? This looks bad. Even giving him the benefit of the doubt. No, he is openly gay. He's very pro-gay. It looks bad. What did you think was going to happen? What did you think the internet was going to say? And I'm sorry, but I don't think a guy that's out attending, wearing shirtless leather straps with a bunch of dudes, a bunch of bears in San Francisco is setting the right, how should I phrase this? It's not that it's not a role model for kids. If this is your role models, you're going to get kids that grow up not knowing what gender they are, basically. And I'm just going to leave it at there. I could say a lot more, but YouTube, they're very sensitive on this type of stuff. Don't want to say anything offensive. I shouldn't say that it offends me that they're grooming children and indoctrinated them into their perverse fantasies. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Let's see. Do we have a clip here? Hour and a half. We're going to save this. I got these interesting clips, so I'm just going to have to do a whole video later. NoMoreNews.org. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm, maybe. Who knows how screwed I am with the algorithm, what kind of screw deal they've given me. Follow on BitChute, streaming for exclusive on DLive and BitChute. If you want to support our work here, help us keep the lights on, get the message out. Sharing is the most important thing, but we couldn't do it without your financial support. We got Patreon, Bitcoin, P.O. Box. You can find all that information on the donate page, contact page if you want to get in touch with me. And the shirts are going quick. Shirts are going quick. This is how we pay the bills here around at No More News. A great conversation starter. Fox News, No More News, high quality premium made in America shirts. Some of the sizes are already selling out. That's the Fox News. People say, nice shirt. You tell them nomorenews.org, and you could radically change. Give somebody the red pill. Trump, they live. Israeli, hypnotized eyes there. Piece of election 2020 history. Support the channel. Thanks to everybody that has picked up a shirt. Thanks for everybody for watching and sticking with me. Emptying the chest on DLive. Thanks for all the lemons and limes and support over there. Thanks for reminding me about the chest. Distribute chest. Check out the links after the video, after the outro ends for more videos. I'll put the Joe Rogan video in there and the Israeli tech playlist, I believe, were the two. Everybody, I will see you guys again soon. Have a nice night. Thanks to the mods. Help me share the video. It doesn't get shared without you guys. Help spread the message. Wake people up to what's going on. Group effort.